Hello everyone, this is PK Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and whether we've reached saturation point within its Phase 4 content. Now there will likely be spoilers for all of the Marvel Phase 4 content in terms of both movies and series, so just beware when going into this overall video, and you can check out my extensive coverage of all of that content within the channel, and I'll leave some links within the description. So when we talk about the MCU, we are of course acknowledging the most dominant franchise in all of entertainment, certainly for the last 10 to 12 years or so. Introducing live action adaptations of Marvel's most famous characters, it truly changed the landscape of entertainment, for the most part connecting with both critics and audiences, hardcore and casual fans, and ticking the demographics for all ages and cultures in terms of accessible entertainment. And the franchise seemed to reach its peak achievement with Avengers Endgame in 2019, the culmination really of Phase 3, when it grossed $2.8 billion at the box office to shortly reign as the highest grossing movie of all time. But as we are now in the midst of Phase 4, we ask the question, have we reached saturation point? Have we got to a point where fans and audiences are just now exhausted and tired? Have they had enough of the constant wave of Marvel content that we are currently residing in? At this point, I think we might be getting to that point of saturation. Many people have already reached the saturation point and got to that point at the end of Avengers Endgame. There will be others who are loving all of the content and just want more. And certainly from the recent movies' performances, nothing would suggest that we have got to the point of saturation. When we look at Spider-Man No Way Home, which managed to gross $1.9 billion worldwide at the box office. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has currently grossed over $950 million worldwide. And Thor Love and Thunder recently opened with anything from around 140 to 160 million in its opening weekend at around the time of making this overall video. But when I talk about saturation, it's more about the quantity of content and the overall quality level, which I feel is being recognised much more within audiences. Whilst people are still watching, there does seem to be very much of a downturn in hype and excitement from each subsequent instalments that we get within Phase 4. And when we look at Phase 4 overall, which of course has included the expansion on Disney+, it overall has consisted from 6 movies so far in terms of Black Widow, Shang-Chi The Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Thor Love and Thunder. We overall have 6 television series so far in terms of WANDAVISION, HAWKEYE, FALCON and the Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and Loki, and of course we also include the animated What If series as well. Now, having watched nearly all of the content within Phase 4, I have to say that none of these have really been of an elite standard in terms of overall quality. I think overall probably Spider-Man No Way Home was the best of Phase 4 so far, but nothing within this phase has come close to matching what I would consider the peak MCU when we talk about Avengers, Infinity War, Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and also Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, a lot of the franchise was able to generate and sustain a high level of hype for each project, as we focused very much on the first 3 phases and Thanos collecting all of the Infinity Stones. But Phase 4 has no such compelling arc this time round. A lot of the projects are very much standalone, with not much lead up between each installment. There really isn't much incitement in terms of the end credit scenes. Of course, that was an innovation specialised by Marvel. Now, the majority of the movies that have released so far have had a very mixed critical reception overall. Now, some might say when we look at Phase 4 that this downturn is very much to be expected, as all great runs have to come to an end, law of averages, diminishing returns, etc. And when things eventually reach that stage, the ideal strategy is to scale back on your content and reassess where you want to go next. But Marvel have done the absolute opposite, going full throttle with the Disney Plus content, virtually giving us now a piece of Marvel content almost every 1 to 2 months throughout the last 2 years. And I do think it's starting to become too much, primarily because the quality isn't as high. And when the quality starts to decline, that's when fans eventually will hit that saturation point. We saw how much this affected Netflix when they experienced a downturn in subscribers earlier on in this year of 2022. Overall, viewers had just had enough of the generic content that they were consuming every week and every month. And I think this is probably the biggest danger when I look at the MCU, is probably the overloading of content, not really giving fans enough time to just breathe and digest each installment that they're receiving within this current phase. And of course, this constant push of content was really an initiative that was fueled by the streaming service of Disney+. Now, you just can't force content at the audience and expect them to just consume constantly. And if it's all of a high quality, then fine. But if it's not, then that's when the audience will start to feel the saturation. And slowly but surely, I think that's over what's happening here in terms of the MCU. Now, in the beginning, when they announced their initiative to expand their universe onto television within the Disney streaming service, it made complete sense. There are a whole multitude of characters and backstories that you just don't have enough time to fully showcase within the movie atmosphere, so you would move that over to the streaming platform. And of course, in terms of a television series, it's a format where you have much more runtime, where you can explore these characters over 6, 8, 10 plus episodes. So the theory of that strategy is all very sound. But if you choose characters who aren't as exciting or just aren't very dynamic, yet you keep pushing them forward onto the audience, you're eventually going to lose them. Yet with Phase 4, we continue on with the likes of She-Hulk, which comes in August. We have Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever in November. In next year, 2023, we have Ant-Man Quantumania, The Marvels, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as well. And in terms of the series, we'll continue with the likes of both Secret Invasion, Ironheart, and Armor Wars. Not to also mention other series such as Echo, Agatha House of Harkness, and of course the return of the Daredevil series that we saw initially from Netflix. And just to be clear here, this isn't me hating on the MCU or trying to spread more negativity. I've stated constantly on this channel that I've been a full supporter of the MCU because of the way that it changed the entertainment industry, and also because it opened up the doors for lesser known characters and properties to have their time to shine, and really give studios far more confidence in translating these lesser known names onto the screen with sizable budgets and big enough resources. So I've always loved the impact of what the MCU has going forward, but at the same time I can't just close my eyes and ignore the potential flaws. And I think Phase 4 so far, while we could deem it to be very much experimental, and of course they do have to try and push forward new characters, they can't just keep pushing Iron Man films or Captain America films. Eventually they do have to try new concepts, new ideas, and new characters. So that's all very fine, but as I mentioned before, if those new ideas aren't very fresh, the franchise, as we've become so accustomed to for so many years now, will suffer a poor decline and lose itself with the overall audience. And I think in terms of the saturation point, if we haven't reached it yet, I think we may be possibly getting there very soon, unless the standard of quality in terms of the content in both the movies and the series continues to improve. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on the MCU in terms of its Phase 4 and whether we've reached saturation point in terms of the constant content that they continue to push out during this phase. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you are a fan of the MCU, are you happy with the direction that it's going in, or do you think also that there needs to be a scaling back in terms of the quality and a far higher focus on the overall quality? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you'd like to see me cover any more aspects in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whether it includes previous reviews of films throughout phases 1 to 3, then let me know in the comments and I can see if I can provide more commentary for you on this channel within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.